Hey there guys, welcome to my playthrough of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So I've already done a blind playthrough of Jedi Survivor. The game had its ups and downs, but I do feel like Jedi Fallen Order is a slightly better game than Jedi Survivor, and I said I would be doing a playthrough of this game. And I know a lot of people didn't really vote on me doing this playthrough, but I've decided, forget that, I just want to do this playthrough because playing Jedi Survivor again just made me want to come back to this game just to see the difference in quality between this game and Jedi Survivor. And plus, with how much I really liked Jedi Survivor in certain parts, I think I can actually like certain parts of Jedi Fallen Order a lot more. So let's get into this. So I know it's going to start off with that really cool introduction with Sugan Isena by The Who. It's so hard to believe they took the time to develop an entirely new language for the song. Like, Sugan Isena is not Mongolian as you're assuming with The Who. It's a completely different language. There he is.
Listen, I don't want to upset your rhythm, Cal, but the boss wants a word. It's gonna be good for us. Here he is, Chief.
An error has been detected on line 10A. All our clamps are jammed. I need 2 workers to climb up and secure the cables.
That's not an easy maneuver.
The Guild will double your pay for this shift.
Come on, Cal. What's our score? That couldn't hurt. Huh?
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Get to work.
I still remember how different this game felt to the traditional Star Wars formats, because I had played other Star Wars games. Like, I played the very first Battlefront game on PS2. I played Revenge of the Sith on PS2, which, like I said before, in my Jedi Survivor blind playthrough, wasn't really that good, honestly. I'm just amazed that game receives a lot of praise. I've heard people even say it's better than Fallen Order or Survivor, which that is absolutely ridiculous. Also, I have to get used to only having the single jump for the moment. It's also quite interesting how the PS5 version doesn't have the ability to skip cutscenes.
Yeah.
On the PS4 version of Jedi Fallen Order, you could not skip cutscenes.
Big money.
It shouldn't be that big of a deal if you're going with the flow of the game and you're really invested with the characters and the story. I'm sure the unskippable cutscenes aren't going to be an issue. And I'm sure that just like what you'd be doing with like the Batman Arkham games, for instance, if you're wanting to get back to certain parts without having to play through the previous parts, you'll want to back up your saves to a USB drive. I'm considering doing that with certain parts of Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. I don't remember the vibration on the controller being this way with Jedi Survivor. The feeling is entirely different. And I hate how when you jump, it cancels out your sprint. It doesn't hold the momentum of your sprint. So you have to re-engage the sprint every time you jump, which is dumb. I'm so glad they fixed that in Jedi Survivor. Although I do recall it being a little inconsistent at times with Jedi Survivor. I've also seen the speedruns for this game. I know this game was beaten in under half an hour, I believe, because of a really, really extreme glitch called world merging, I believe it's called.
Sounds like
somehow they glitched the game in such a way where they combined like Dathomir and Zepho, I believe, into one, and so that allowed them to essentially unlock the final planet very quickly. I am very pissed that people have found the kind of skips that they found for Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. Because I feel like that's going to create such an impressionable event on so many normal gamers just trying to enjoy the game, because now they're going to interpret events in the game as just being roadblocks and like moments where you have to exert a lot of patience now because of the fact that these speedrunners have found these glitches. I mean, I know you're probably going to say, oh, it's my fault for looking at those speedruns and impacting my own experience and letting those experiences get to me, but the mind just has that curiosity, you know? It's so hard for anyone to break free of that curiosity threshold. And so they end up looking at these videos and impacting their own experience. That's the problem with that. So like, for instance, you can't properly appreciate the story and the cutscenes because of the skips that speedrunners have found.
5.
I mean, I just feel like the developers should have given some way to speed up certain elements of the story or like certain parts of the gameplay, so that people can enjoy going through it fast, but not having to resort to glitches and the like, and therefore impacting their own investment in the game. If you understand what I mean.
Here we are, scrapping these ships from the war, just so they can turn around and make new ones. What a racket, huh? All of us risking our necks for the bosses. And the pay.
You know, the Mandalorian, he did get a ship from the pre-Empire era, and it was a very efficient ship.
What makes you think I want out of here?
Wasn't it like a Corellian starfighter or some sort? Oh no, I'm sorry, it was Naboo. I think it was the Naboo fighter that the Mandalorian used in Season 2 of, I'm sorry, not Season 2, Boba Fett. It was in the Book of Boba Fett. That's when he got the new ship to replace the Razor Crest.
Get back down. You're not listening to me. What was that?
Yeah, scrapping these old ships to make new ones. Interesting when you consider Mandalorian and the way it just makes you think about that scene. Okay, so what's the controls for slow now for this old system of controls? Because I set it to square on my end, but it could be a different button.
I can't hold on! No!
Oh, it's R1 now? Okay.
You okay, bro?
I'm alright. Just pin down.
Pilot's gone. I'll get us out of here. Just hang on.
Watch out, Cal!
Look out! This thing is barely flying. Hold on!
You know, a lot of people said that Cal is a one-note character, and I do understand that to a certain degree with Cal.
All right?
I do feel like at times he can be a bit of a boring character in Jedi Fallen Order.
We gotta move. Come on.
I do feel like he was a more complex character in Jedi Survivor.
Was that you? Wait, that was the Force, wasn't it?
Just forget what you saw, okay? Please
No,
trust
but
me.
I've seen the stories. I've heard it. There's
Prof,
bounties out on people
I
like
know. I know.
Oh, Cal was lucky to have had a friend like Prof.
you. We need to be careful. Yeah.
By the way, can I just say the theme song for Jedi Fallen Order is one of my favorite pieces of soundtrack? Like, after playing Survivor, I suddenly remembered that theme, and now I find it very engrossing just to hum the theme of Jedi Fallen Order.
Cal, I've been working with you some time now. I've never seen you do anything like that before. We've been through some hell together.
That face that Cal just made.
So, I know the risk that you took for me. I don't know how to repay you.
Don't mention it. I mean it.
Oh, you don't have to worry about me. This place, it's not safe. Maybe you should, disappear.
Just gotta head back to my place, grab my bag. Tappers owes me a favor.
I heard he was up on Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah.
I remember going to Nar Shaddaa in
For a while, bro.
Force Unleashed. That's another Star Wars game that I played.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Cal.
That can definitely say that Fallen Order and Survivor are much better than Force Unleashed, even if the power fantasy granted by the PS2 version of the Force Unleashed was very engrossing. I remember how much I just spammed Force Lightning against many of the bosses. Galen Merrick was a pretty fun character to play as. But now when I just look back at The Force Unleashed and where I am as a gamer and really understanding the quality of games now, Force Unleashed really isn't that good of a series. And Force Unleashed 2 was terrible. What they did with like improperly concluding Galen Merrick's story, there wasn't even a story with Force Unleashed 2.
Prof, wait up.
And they really stripped a lot of the gameplay bare. Not that the first Force Unleashed was better. I played the PS3 version of The Force Unleashed for a few minutes, but it was so boring, and I was on the highest difficulty, but like, everything just felt so rudimentary, everything just felt very clunky. It's honestly just not good of a game. I don't know why people like The Force Unleashed on PS3. It's really boring. When the first few minutes of that game are just going to be as dull as they are, there's no point in investing in that kind of game. Psychometry. Within the hallucination. Interesting.
Apprentice, mark well and listen.
Master.
Trust only in the Force.
So, you know, in the context of Jedi, those kind of dream sequences, can you assume that they're real to a certain extent? Like they're actually entering a realm of consciousness through the midichlorians? I've always been intrigued by that.
Move out and line up.
Probably just another contraband inspection.
If the midichlorians do have a bit of a hive mind to them, I mean, they kind of have to in order for the Force to work. But I just wonder if Cal actually connected to some kind of realm of consciousness, similar to the Shed as a Rose DLC from Resident Evil Village. So this is where the Ninth Sister and the Second Sister turn up, and of course the Second Sister is Trilla. I did watch Laser Z's retrospective and review of Jedi Survivor, and he definitely helped recontextualize in my mind how the scenes of Jedi Survivor played out and what the actual story is, how Cal's character is explored, how Bode is used, how a lot of these other characters are used, some of the criticisms involved with Jedi Survivor's story.
But a devotee of the treasonous.
It was a very interesting video.
Order. Failure to turn over this traitor will result in a charge of sedition. Turn yourself in, or everyone present shall face summary execution.
Now, I do wonder if Trilla actually sensed who the Jedi was, and she was just playing this game with them to toy with them. Because you have to wonder how Cal didn't sense Bode whatsoever, and his connection with the Force.
I think it's time someone came forward. I've been working on this heap a long time. Way before the war. We refit and rebuilt ships. Best in the galaxy. Then came the Empire. And engineers became scrappers. The workers, they just started getting worked.
Prof.
We all know the truth. We're just too afraid to say it. To the Empire, we're all just expendable.
Yes, you are.
No!
Look at this. A lightsaber.
I found the Jedi!
Checking out the disturbance.
Oh, that hurts.
Hold it. Don't move. How'd you get here?
Easy now.
Got a stowaway. I'll get you. That's how you prepare for... You hear that too?
That's right, there's no stealth attacks in this game. Oh, that's good. You see that? I love that detection right there. The detection on the finishing execution animation in Jedi Survivor when you break guards is very clunky. Yeah, I feel like the detection's a lot better in Jedi Fallen Order. I definitely have a greater appreciation for some of the fundamental mechanics of Jedi Fallen Order compared to Survivor. But the stealth aspect was something I actually liked in Jedi Survivor. I was planning on doing a walkthrough of Jedi Survivor. It would be a no upgrade walkthrough. I'm not too sure about the no damage thing because I do feel like no damage feels kind of limiting in Jedi Survivor. Alright, this is where the Mantis comes in. I forget how they found Cal.
We're here to help!
Who are you?
No time! Keep moving! We'll pick you up when we can! Go now! Hold on! No!
Well, how did that not hurt him? And then this is where the second sister comes in, and you have to lose this fight in order to progress. I mean, you can do it normally, but you'll still fail in the end.
Going somewhere? I recognize that stance. Perhaps you've had some training after all. Who is your master? Padawan? Someone I killed, perhaps? What
Yeah, it's very interesting that
so that you might live.
lightsaber users can recognize a master based on the stance that their students use. But you'd assume that multiple stances would be taught by one master. So I'll just lose, just so I can end this faster. There we go. And you have to do the quick time events on this game. Or not, I think I disabled them. Might be that. Or maybe you don't get a quick time event in this part.
Get on board!
Okay, shut that thing off and grab some seat.
Thanks for the help. But who are you people?
My name is Seer Junda, and this is my captain, Priest Ritus.
How you doing? Yeah, the Mantis is my ship, but you better pay attention to this lady here.
So, Who are you?
Cal. Kestis. Who was that back there?
An Imperial Inquisitor. She's a Force user hunting Jedi survivors. And now that she knows who you are, she will not stop until she destroys you.
How do you know so much? And why'd you help me?
We track Imperial communications.
Oh,
We
right,
heard the
yeah.
Inquisitors were heading to Braca. So we made our move.
Oh, yeah? And what's the bounty on Jedi these days anyway?
That's gratitude for you.
Look, I get it. You've been surviving on your own for so long that it's impossible to trust anyone. And it's what's kept you alive. But this is about something bigger than just surviving.
Like what?
Rebuilding the Jedi Order.
Rebuilding the Jedi Order.
You too? Anybody else?
Oh, we're not good enough for you?
The Jedi Council?
They're gone.
So I'm all you've got.
You know, now that I think about it, why doesn't she have a holocron from...
Set a course for...
I'm sorry, not a holocron, like a communication from Obi-Wan.
In the meantime, try and relax.
Because we know that Kanan
Go, you're safe.
had a Obi-Wan communication where Obi-Wan is telling all the Jedi about the Jedi Order falling. Wonder why she doesn't have that. Or maybe she does, it's just we don't get to see it.
Find your destiny. Calico!
You were talking in your sleep. Weirdo.
He did the same thing in Survivor where he's just standing over a sleeping Cal. And I remember Grease had Cal's Braca outfit. He just had it stored somewhere. And this is where we see the psychometry in action. Which is a skill that you barely see in Force users, as the lore describes.
That song. I wrote it. Years ago. You touch an object and witness events connected to it. You feel its history.
It's an echo in the Force from the object.
Not many Jedi have that skill.
I never did understand how the Force could be around these kind of objects, because the Force is an energy field created by living things. Why would it be right around non-living things? I've always found that very interesting, but maybe it's just something not around a non-living object, but merely it's just something left behind by a living organism that last touched that object. Maybe that's what it is.
Do you know that?
I was once a Jedi. But not anymore.
Whoa, what's happening?
Do I know you?
No. But I
What
knew
the
you.
heck? Okay, so pausing during this cutscene just bugged out the audio. I don't know why.
Master, Jaro Tapal. He was a true guardian of the Republic.
What the hell is happening?
He was a hero. Listen,
I've never seen a bug like this before.
something happened to me during the Purge. I survived, but my connection to the Force is damaged. When I meditate, if I let my guard down, I lose control. And it's like I'm back in that moment when...
You survived, Cal. And you're not alone. Not anymore.
We're coming up on our destination.
That was very weird. The audio track got displaced from what was happening in the cutscene. At least it's fixed now. That was very weird.
This is Bogano. A Jedi I knew discovered it before the Purge. You won't find it on any maps.
You know,
Empire doesn't know
Cordova.
this place exists.
No.
So, what's the plan? We hide out here?
We're done hiding, Cal. See that structure over there? I believe that vault holds the key to rebuilding the Jedi Order. But it requires someone strong in the Force to pass its test.
And since you're not a Jedi anymore, that's why you need me.
I know you don't trust me. And I'm not really sure I trust you. But we have a common enemy. And a common cause. I'll share more of my plan after you reach the vault. But, until then, there's someone here I think you should meet.
BD1?
May the Force be with you.
So from what context did Cal mean when he said, "You're not a Jedi anymore"? Like, when someone calls someone else not a Jedi, what context are they referring to?
Guess I'm looking for a Jedi then. But if there's already one here, why does Seer need me?
Like, does he mean they don't use the Force anymore? Do they not follow the teachings of the Order? Because, like, Ahsoka wasn't a Jedi. She left the
Seems to be a
Order.
safe place to meditate. Just need to focus my mind.
And yet Cal still considers himself a Jedi, even though the Jedi Order's gone. So from what context does he mean when he says that Seer is not a Jedi anymore? Also, I remember Jedi Fallen Order had the meditation training added in an update so you could fight bosses and other enemies. Why did they remove that in Jedi Survivor? I hate that.
Hey, BD1. I'm Cal. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm looking
It's so
for
odd
someone.
how he just casually
No, not
acknowledges BD1's existence,
Searching
like
for a Jedi, I think. Hold on.
he's not asking the
You know
question
a
of
Jedi?
who are you
know?
or what are you doing here.
Hold on.
He's just so easily accustomed to BD1's presence
Thanks.
immediately.
That's the vault Seer mentioned. Whoever I'm supposed to find must be waiting there.
Can you disable tutorials in this game? What the hell? What the hell is happening with the game? What the fuck was that? That wasn't an issue with the controller, that was something else. I wonder if, me using the share button on my controller in order to record this game caused it to act weirdly. That was very odd.
Whoa! How'd you know that would work? Wait, you didn't?
I remember on this game you have to buy the running attack, which is stupid. I don't know why it would do that. It's nice that in Jedi Survivor you at least start with some upgrades. Or like they just added some upgrades from Jedi Fallen Order and just made them like the base mechanics.
Hey, that was pretty brave. You okay? Wait, I can help you with that. Will you let me? Oh, okay. Well, your scomplink is busted, but this should help you get moving for now. Okay, try that. The vault. Yeah, that's where I was headed to. Okay, well, first we gotta figure out a way out of this place. Huh? Healing stem. You're full of surprises.
Are healing sims supposed to be another form of Bacta? Do they use Bacta
That's
as well?
Better. Thanks, little droid. Okay.
Must be some kind of derivative of Bacta.
Oh, okay. Here, hop on board. So, how'd you get here? Don't remember? I've never known a forgetful droid. Can't argue with that.
There's an Ogdo. I think that's what they're called. Oh, you see that? That's the kind of thing I like about Jedi Fallen Order. The deflections actually generate some kind of reaction on the enemy. Whereas in Jedi Survivor, that wasn't the case, which was really stupid. It wasn't always the case, but a vast majority of the enemies in Jedi Survivor didn't flinch when you deflected them, which was really dumb. Wait, there's seats? I didn't know there were seats in Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, I had no idea seats were in Jedi Fallen Order. I thought that was just something that Jedi Survivor introduced. Okay, this is where you learn about wall running. Right, every time you do these moments, you get a little flashback during the Clone Wars.
Try again.
It's difficult, Master.
Yes, the path is difficult. It may seem impossible, but with persistence and the Force as your ally, you will overcome any obstacle. You will master any path. Now, do what you must to reach me.
I really like these flashback moments with Jaro Tapal. I think they're really well written, and I feel like you see what exactly a Jedi is meant to be. A Jedi is meant to be a teacher. The Jedi were never meant to be soldiers. I mean, they constantly called themselves peacekeepers and that the violence was justified. But there are many different ways to get to that path, and
Persistence and the Force is
essentially when the Jedi became more like soldiers, they perpetuated the cycle of violence a little too much. Not a little too much, like a lot. And so, that's why Palpatine was able to use that to his advantage in order to put the Jedi under a bad light and make the populace of the galaxy turn against them. And this was actually a plot point in, I think it was Season 5 of Clone Wars, where Ahsoka Tano is branded as a traitor by the Jedi Order. And they were pretty quick to call her a traitor. I mean, there are problems that I do have with that that arc. I do feel like there are certain parts of the writing that don't make any sense. But regardless, I mean, the fact that the Jedi Order practically left Ahsoka behind, and even when offered the chance to return, she just chose not to do so, and she was able to learn a lot about how disillusioned people felt about the Jedi. It was a very, very cool arc. And the whole idea of the Jedi assuming too much of the role of being soldiers was a plot point that was told many times throughout Clone Wars. You know, I think this is actually a very interesting discussion to get into. You know, when you look at just the original trilogy, just the prequel trilogy, or just the sequel trilogy, you realize just how much a lot of the events they set up in those movies are meant to be recontextualized by TV shows or the like. Like, do you have any idea how beneficial the Clone Wars was with actually recontextualizing certain events in Revenge of the Sith?
Oh, it's on.
You know, if you were only looking at just Revenge of the Sith, you would just find it very strange how quickly Anakin turned to the dark side.
Probably would have won.
But then when you look at the events of Clone Wars, and when you see what Anakin went through with losing his Padawan, with what the Jedi Order put her through, a lot of the other questionable moments with the Jedi, you really start to understand the first couple of steps that made Anakin turn to the dark side. And this is why, you know, a lot of people hate on the sequel trilogy. I don't really understand a lot of the main reasons people hate upon the sequel trilogy. I mean, a lot of people, I know Laser Z hates the sequel trilogy because it's just simply the original trilogy, but you just have the Rebellion and the First Order, and the First Order is literally the Empire. There's not really much depth that's really explored with how the First Order is any different with the Empire. And a lot of people hated The Last Jedi. I don't really know why. I know a lot of people hated that moment where, what's the name of that admiral who jumped to hyperspace to destroy those cruisers to stop the rebellion from being killed? I mean, she was a pretty cool character, I'm not gonna lie. And like the way she subverted my expectations, I thought they were just gonna go down the cliched route of, oh, she's actually the bad person, she's really brain dead, and she's not really thinking things through. But that twist when she incapacitated Poe and the rest of the rebels who turned against her, and you realize exactly what her plan was, that was a very interesting twist. And, you know, I did like what they did with Luke Skywalker. Like, I'm not a big fan of Luke Skywalker in general. I don't really see what's so appealing about him in episodes 4, 5, and 6. But in the Book of Boba Fett, as well as The Last Jedi, I really liked him as a character, and I just like what they did with him. And I think it's a very interesting idea in Last Jedi where Luke rediscovers exactly why the Jedi Order fell during the events of the Clone Wars that set up the Empire. I mean, he literally says, at the height of their power, they allowed Lord Sidious to return to power. It was a Jedi that was responsible for the training and creation of Darth Vader. And then I remember Rey countered with, and a Jedi who saved him. And I know a lot of people really hate the fight scene that occurs between Luke and Kylo Ren, but like Luke did exactly what a Jedi was meant to do. A Jedi's purpose is not meant to fight all the time. A Jedi is meant to plant the seeds necessary for hope and goodness to carry on into the future generations, and he did everything he could to prevent the rebellion from falling. I'm not the type of person to just be all invested in fight scenes just because they're fight scenes. I mean, I used to be like that, but not anymore because I realized just how limiting and ignorant that really becomes. You really end up not appreciating scenes or end up not appreciating characters and story depth on such an incredible level if you maintain such a one-note, one-dimensional form of thinking. This is why I'm not so invested in like superheroes or anyone with all these like super abilities, like what you'd be getting with like Dragon Ball. I mean, I do like Dragon Ball Kai and Super because of like the writing and the character moments and how you understand Goku as a martial artist and other moments like that. And there are some pretty cool sagas as well, and the way they interweave those stories together to flesh out a lot of the characters. That's the stuff I care about more in Dragon Ball Kai and Super rather than just all the fight scenes, because I don't really care so much about the fight scenes as much as like the writing and the portrayals of certain characters and other things like that. And like the banter between characters when they're in peaceful times and the like, all the fun moments between characters. I've come to really appreciate those kind of moments a lot more rather than just, oh, like a super powerful person, always amazing, this and that. It's one of the main reasons why I like Ethan Winters more so than the other characters from the Resident Evil series, for instance. And, relating back to this point, I mean, I look at the sequel trilogy of Star Wars very different to a lot of other people. I'm not that much of a fan of the original trilogy because I do feel like the era in which the original trilogy came from, every time I think of that era, I constantly think of, oh, like the prevalence of racism, ignorance, all these other really stupid ideals that people used to have, but they're not so strong right now, even though you could argue they are, but they're hidden more easily, I would say. That's probably like another perspective you would say, but like, I don't know, it just feels like if I were to be so invested with the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, I feel like I would be regressing into an ignorant individual. That's not to say that the sequel trilogy is that amazing. Like Episode 9 was pretty forgettable, but I did like Episode 7 and 8 with some of the moments with the characters. I actually found Rey to be very entertaining. I liked Finn. Poe was pretty fun as well. And there were some very interesting lines to take away from Episode 7 and 8. Like what Rose said to Finn near the end of The Last Jedi, where she said, "We must spend more time saving the ones we love rather than fighting the things that we hate." And I feel like there is just a lot of thought that you could really extract from that kind of line. And I feel like that relates to the Jedi Order in some way. Because the Jedi Order during the Clone Wars kind of embraced the opposite of what Rose said. And I feel like that kind of line was explored a bit more in certain Star Wars media after The Last Jedi was released. All I'll say is that I don't easily dismiss the sequel trilogy because of the fact that I'm learning to evolve past what I grew up with and the like. I mean, if I maintained that kind of ignorant attitude, I would not be able to appreciate Resident Evil 7 and Village and how they made Ethan Winters really interesting as a character, and the way they did survival horror, even though Resident Evil Village is very flawed in a lot of ways. But Resident Evil 7 was a goddamn masterpiece of a Resident Evil game. Like, I'm someone who fights against ignorance, basically. I don't like to dwell on the side of ignorance, ever. And I just feel like the era that the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy of Star Wars came from was during a time where ignorance was very high with the world perception on certain things. And I feel like it makes it very hard to actually get invested with all that because Like it all boils down to that kind of ignorance present with like the writing, the character portrayals, the music, and especially the music, because I don't like the music from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. That being said, there weren't really any memorable soundtracks from the sequel trilogy as well, so I can't really say. But like Mandalorian and Boba Fett had really great music that I feel heightens the experience and kind of breaks away from the domain that the ignorance of like the 1950s to the 90s was known for, basically. It's hard to explain, but I feel like I can better express this as we go through this game.